Hello everyone, I'm Mark with that guy you met today. Haven't met, scroll through my YouTube videos and let's get to know each other. We're back. And I'm back with Seth, who's behind the camera. Say hi.
Peace. Seven.
We've got to really work on that. So anyway.
Shut up.
In the shop.
Ooh.
We've got stuff, people. I've been ordering lots of things, and that is going to help us finish up our Corvette project. So we're going to talk about exactly what I've got and some of these things, and then the big old box over there to the side that's got stuff spilling out of it. So today we're going to talk about what we're going to be doing. We're planning for some of the things that have to get built and or fabricated or put together one way or another. We're also going to be trying, or not trying out, but we're going to be test fitting some of the RC equipment and I don't know, whatever else I can get my hands on into.
Big Wang Gang.
But that's going to be confusing because it's like two black dudes. Big Wang.
Oh.
That's what he said. Brief rundown of what needs to happen today. First, I want to prep everything that needs to be worked on or finished. I want to go ahead and pull it out or disassemble it or whatever. So basically I'm forced to address it. I think that'll be the best way to go about it. The driver's seat is made to fit me and it fits me wonderfully. We're going to leave it as it is. But the other seat doesn't tend to work for most people because it's set for me.
Regular size people.
Yeah, and most people's heads stick out of the top. Not a problem for me though. We're just going to move it as far back as possible and as far down as possible to just try to fit the majority of people that might.
Regular size human being.
Yeah.
Not a baby.
Yeah, well, you know, yourself. The steering wheel is also another thing we're going to have to address. As you might remember from the past, this is a quick release steering wheel that had a purpose. Like, I didn't just put this awful cheap Chinese steering wheel on because I thought it was awesome and Fast and the Furious. No. We are going to need to attach our steering motor to the steering hub, and the easiest way to do that and still allow the car to be driven like a normal car was to use a quick release hub. So I have another quick release hub, and we're just going to use this part to attach a drive gear to, and we'll explain the details of that on a later episode. All right, perfect. We're moving to the Bizak.
What was that?
That was
a Mars walk.
That was expert Mars walk.
Yeah, that wasn't the moon walk.
Because there's more gravity.
Yeah, more gravity.
The back is where most of the action is going to happen. On the car and in the bedroom. The back is where.
No.
Okay, whatever. We need to get our fuel cell out because it is held in with zip ties.
Zip tie life.
Because originally when I did this was just so we could move the car out of the garage to take it to the Chevy dealership to get worked on. This was never supposed to be put together like this as long as it was. And thank God nothing happened because this is really bad. The fuel tank needs to not be right here in this location. It actually needs to be up forward in the corner. Our fuel pump needs to be in a better location. We need to have this thing properly vented. There's just a lot that has to happen back here. Also, all of our RC control equipment is also going to be back here. There's another reason that this needs to move to make room for the equipment that needs to be back here. And now, probably the most exciting part. It's gonna happen back here. Big Wang Gang 7. I need you to cue some really ratchet rap music.
Ooh.
Right about here.
Ratchet.
I've been on my grind just like a skater.
Big Wang.
Big Wang.
I'm not very tall, so this isn't saying much, but it's taller than me.
Yeah.
Hey. We want this. We want this when it's done to sit right about here.
Yeah.
Right about there.
That's about right.
So, we are going to have to really kind of work on back here to get this to mount up because this is going to be a chassis mount spoiler. But this is a full carbon. This is like a legit carbon fiber wing, people. Like, this is the real deal. You know, it's probably full of lead and asbestos from China, but
Definitely.
it's good. So, we're also going to be working on that, not today, because we are nowhere near doing this, but I wanted to show you guys.
Ooh.
The other thing that we also need to do back here is, I'm not sure if I want to keep the taillights.
If you remember, I am 100% against these taillights.
But I really like them.
That's
Like,
why they need to go.
Since this started, like this was like the one thing that I said it had to happen, is this. But I think I still want this like stacked thing, but I might just go about it differently. Like I almost feel like this is too simple. Like this was like kind of the easy way to do this. After assessing the situation, it appears that the best way to go about detaching this is going to be at the fuel pump. Got a bucket down here to catch this fuel. There's not a ton of gas in there, but there's a good amount. Drippy, drippy. Uh-oh.
Oh. Gotta let it out. All right.
So remember how I tipped that up to try to just keep the gas from just flowing like that?
Didn't work.
That didn't do a thing. The power
Oh my God.
is not turned off to this thing.
There's a lot of gas in there.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can. Yeah, you can see the level. Oh my God.
The next thing we're gonna do is what I should have done from the beginning, and I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect the battery. Ow!
Where are you going to put the fuel pump?
I hate you so much.
You got the lights off. Hopefully we can throw them in the trash.
Such a hate.
I don't like those lights.
You know, I wish I had the actual wrench.
Oh, there's one that came with it.
No, you have to buy it, and I didn't buy it because I think that AN wrenches are just overpriced, but they keep you from scratching up the fittings how I am right now.
This video was sponsored by Miscellaneous Noises.
Are you ever at a party with friends and you're like, what could make this party better? Miscellaneous noises! A lot of these connections are going to be able to go. I don't know what they are right now because the power's disconnected.
Right.
But basically, before all this stuff goes back in, we're going to determine what we need and what we don't. And anything we don't need is going to get cut out.
Cut it out. All right, so I was searching back here, just looking down, and we see this old screwdriver. Robert, is this yours?
I can assure you, whoever dropped that is deceased. So anyway, we've got everything cleared out of here.
It's out, people.
The other stuff that I need to do back here, I'm gonna wait because there's still like gas on some of these lines and stuff, and the things I need to do are gonna make sparks, and I feel like I should give it a chance to dry out.
Yeah, we're gonna
have tons of space there. So.
Yeah, everything's on fit.
Shall we move to the seat now, sir?
Seat.
Damn, I've been on my grind just like a skater. Hop up on the mic, yeah, I'm creative.
But when I did this, I was kind of planning on never having to take it out.
You didn't anticipate meeting someone taller than you.
It's not hard to be taller.
Yeah.
I don't know what the engineers were thinking when they built this car, but it has the weirdest combination of standard and metric fasteners. It's really bizarre.
They just used what they had.
This was an expensive car when it was new.
Yeah,
There shouldn't be any using what they have.
This portion of the video sponsored by Extendos, just in case you need a little extra. Making men everywhere.
Ah!
We're trying to get that bolt right there off.
New from Extendos, an extension for your extension. Co-sponsored by randomnoises.com. If you didn't hate me before, I'm sure you hate me now. Man, I'm gonna have to replace that. So since the socket was twerking around on that bolt a little bit, it kind of rounded it off. So
Yeah.
we'll have to replace that.
It didn't unstrap anything.
Sharp metal back there.
Yeah. Robert Grant, aka The Hard Way.
One of our sponsors, the Knight Foundation,
Ooh.
knightfoundation.com, and forrealsponsor.com,
Right.
has given us funding for a trailer for this car. It's not going to be a pretty trailer or a new trailer, but it'll be a trailer nonetheless. So we are on the hunt for a trailer. We're talking like
Basic.
cheap, like
Yeah, basics.
if I can find something for $1,000 or less, really what I'm trying to do. I don't care if it's ugly or broken or if we need to do things to it, I can fix it. I just need the trailer so we can put this bad boy on there so I don't have to try to drive this thing. Because it's kind of terrifying. To go a long distance is kind of terrifying. We've disassembled everything that needs to be disassembled. Now let's talk about the electronics that are going to be going in. So let's talk about our first thing. So this is Sabertooth 2x32 made by Dimension Engineering. Small company, like most of these specialty electronics people are. And when they go out of stock on this stuff, they are not in a hurry to make more of it. So thankfully, I bugged them a little bit and got them to make up another one of these. Now, what is the Sabertooth 2x32? This is a brushed DC motor controller. We're going to be taking one of the wheelchair motors and using that to turn our steering wheel. And then this is going to replace the electronics from the wheelchair that would normally drive that motor. So that's what this guy is. The 2x32 means that this has 2 channels that run at 32 amps maximum. So we could actually run 2 motors. And funny thing is we're going to be using a couple of these for another project coming up for a soapbox derby car hauler trailer, and we'll be using one of these as well. So this is my first time using one of these, and this is also something you would find in like battle robots and things like that to control their motors. So there's a lot of documentation. If you're wanting to take a wheelchair and make something weird out of it, there's a lot of documentation on how people use these to convert wheelchairs into all kinds of cool stuff. So check that out. Now, we're going to have some other motors in the car that we're going to have to control, and we have a different kind of motor controller, which works kind of like the other one, but this is just an off-brand motor controller that doesn't have any real programming of any kind built into it, but these, or that, is going to be used to power a pair of these. And yes, I realize that it looks shockingly like a
Where's your mind?
Bro, you really? That's not...
It's like a high-powered. That's one of those ones you see in the movies.
This is the assault rifle of This is a linear actuator, and what that means is that the top of this just goes in or out based on the signal that comes in the wire right here. So the linear part means like in a straight line. Yeah.
Line. Did you graduate algebra?
Actually, I failed algebra in college 4 times. College algebra. Yeah. I don't want to talk about it. We have a pair of these guys, and this is what we're going to use to operate our brakes and our gas. So let's walk around. This is going to be mounted, and it's physically going to push on our brake pedal and or our gas pedal. These are fairly powerful for their size. I'm hoping that I'll have enough power in this to actually push the brake hard enough to actually brake. If not, I found one that I know will work. It's just a lot more expensive, so I'm going to try to make this cheap one work. I got... You okay over there?
There's a lot of fumes in here, man.
Are you choking on my genius? Wow. 2 of these with a controller were only about $75. The more powerful actuator is $300 by itself. So that's why I really want to just try to make this work. Fingers crossed, people.
Fingers crossed, man. What if we just put some way for me to stand and it holds my legs like Iron Man?
Absolutely not. This is where this stuff gets really experimental for me, because while I have dealt with RC stuff since I could put my hands around a controller, I have never tried to do any kind of heavy robotics projects where you're basically taking kind of individual components that are designed for other things and radio controlling them. I've never done it before, but I know how that should work. So I have some stuff that hopefully I can use that I already had. This is a power regulator, this is a voltage regulator. It's also called a BEC, or battery eliminator circuit. I had these for helicopters, for large helicopters that I use, and they work just fine. So this should be able to supply the power that we need to drive those actuators. I hope so, because if it's not, $200 for one that will work.
And Robert did not charge his camera, so this will be the last clip.
Oh, I have more batteries because I was prepared, unlike you.
Pocket.
Next thing that we're going to need is to help control our steering system. We have an Arduino board, which is going to help regulate the distance that motor is allowed to turn so we don't damage our steering rack.
That's right.
I have one of those. Actually, we'll have 3 of these. There'll be one for each actuator.
And if it malfunctions, it will throw a steering wheel out of the windshield.
Next thing that we've got is a Raspberry Pi. And the nerds out there will recognize this as a computer on a board. This is a fully functional Linux computer, USB ports, Ethernet, HDMI output, the whole deal. These are really cool. You can do a lot of awesome stuff with this. This is going to drive our external interface for the car, where we'll be able to monitor telemetry signals and all kinds of cool stuff from a briefcase control unit that I'm going to be building. So there will be one in the car, and then there will be one on our receiver, and that's going to be so cool. Oh, I'm so excited about that. I built one of those before, so I know exactly what I'm doing with that. And I couldn't make a really cool one the last time I did it. This one. The next thing is arguably one of the most important components to this entire project. Our RC receiver. This is a high-tech Optima 6-channel receiver. The nerds out there will also know that this is a very old thing. This is old. This is old stuff. The reason I'm going with old stuff is because this stuff just sends a signal out. It doesn't care what's hooked up to it. It doesn't care about even really the input voltage that's going into it. You just put power to this, connect it to a radio, and it sends a signal and doesn't care what else is going on. This is great. Something else in here, this is actually a tiny display. And this, you may remember that I said I really want to do a control panel on the roll bar of the car. We're going to use these as a display. So I have a few of these. I've played with these, but I've never really used these to do anything. So I'm excited to try that. That hooks up to an Arduino board, and that is going to be awesome. All right, so in
here is the hub that we're going to attach.
That we're gonna attach. Box. Mother!
Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about.
We have a new quick release hub. This part we're just gonna discard because it does nothing for us. But this is what we want. This one is an exact match to the one that's on our steering wheel. And basically what we'll end up with is on the front of here like a bike gear. Or a sprocket. So I'm thinking a bike gear is really the only thing that makes sense for this. So that'll end up on here. And then
it will go right on,
right there.
Just as easy as the steering wheel.
And then we'll have a chain going to the wheelchair motor that we're going to harvest. And then it'll be that simple. When we want to just drive the car like normal, that comes off, steering wheel goes on. Simple.
Simplicity.
For my nerds out there, with the seat off of it, please note how this looks a lot like a fighting robot. I'm gonna open this guy up and see what we're dealing with. I think that the batteries in this are dead because we weren't able to actually power this up.
Unless there's a breaker.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm also kind of curious. Well, you know what? do a little testing first.
Yeah.
Nope.
Nope.
So those batteries do appear to be flat. We just want to put just enough power in this to try to turn a wheel to see if it works. So I'm going to take the battery tender from the Corvette and I'm going to hook it directly up to one of the batteries here, and we'll just leave it overnight and see what happens.
So the batteries do not work.
Yeah.
We couldn't even put them on the charger.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they're just dead enough that this won't even recognize that there's anything hooked up to it. So, wah, wah. I need to make a little shopping list now that I can see what I need to do. And we're going to put that together, and then we're going to come back with the next phase in the build. How's that sound, Seven?
I'm hungry and I want beer.
I'm pretty hungry too. Alright, so if you liked what you saw, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and then make sure you click the little bell. Click the little bell so you stay on top of this entire project. There's a lot of stuff coming on. Messed that up. Because there's a lot of stuff coming up with not only this, but some other really cool stuff. I'm not saying anything, so.
Don't say nothing.
I'm not saying nothing. We're gonna build